Hi everyone, I'm Mary with Mary Greeley News. Thank you for joining me. A lot of people were asking about the volcano monitoring after my comment about how they do not monitor many volcanoes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Congress is wishing for them to do so. Well, in March of this year, President Trump signed into law the National Volcano Early Warning and Monitoring System. This had been proposed over a decade ago and constantly being put off. It was discussed in 2015 and 2016. Originally, the bill would have USGS come up with a plan in 90 days. In September 2016, USGS wrote a letter in support of the bill. A stimulus called the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act of 2009 and 11 gave USGS money to upgrade their system, and they said in this letter that 30% of the work had been achieved of network upgrades for NVEWS standards. Like I said, originally back in 2016, they said if the bill was enacted, the USGS would only have 90 days to come up with a plan to implement the bill. That has now been pushed to 5 years. Here you can see that it was stalled in 2017. I'm going to jump down here where it says the system shall include a National Volcano Watch Office that is operational 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which they don't have right now. Management plan not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act. The Secretary shall submit to Congress a 5-year management plan for the establishing and operating of the system. Going back up to the top, it says the purpose of the system are to organize, monitorize, standardize the stability and monitoring system of the volcano observatories in the United States, which includes Alaska Volcano Observatory, California Volcano Observatory, Cascade Volcano Observatory, Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, and Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, and to unify the monitoring systems of volcanoes observatories in the United States into a single interoperational system. Now going back to 2018, that infrastructure stimulus, that was $14.5 million. It was a one-time infrastructure funds to monitorize volcano monitoring networks in Alaska, and also the Lahar detection system for Mount Rainier in Washington State. In 2019, Congress passed the John Dillinger Jr. Conservative Management and Recreational Act, which President Trump signed into law 16-19 on March 12th. So what are they supposed to be doing in the future? It will be upgrading existing networks on monitored volcanoes, install new networks on unmonitored volcanoes, employ continuous global positioning system, instruments and other ground-based sensors, including visible and infrared web cameras, infrasound sensors, and multi-gas spectrometers to augment network, originally consisting mostly of sparse seismometers. Other key components of the National Volcano Early Warning System will be increased interoperability of all volcanoes observatories, a National Volcano Watch Office, and a data center that runs 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. See, they don't have that right now. They're going to be using and installing sometime in the future currently unused monitors and new monitors too. Here we have an image of Old Faithful. Looks like they're waiting for it to go off. I believe we have about 160 volcanoes here in the United States. They're going to be upgrading existing networks on monitored volcanoes, installing new networks on unmonitored volcanoes. The modernization that they're going to be doing will be let's see here. Emerging technologies, including digital broadband seismometers, real-time continuous global positioning system receivers, satellite and airborne radar, interferometry, acoustic pressure sensors, and spectrometer to measure gas emissions. Currently, I think they rely on weather satellites. Here's an image of Knoll School, and this is supposed to be sulfur dioxide emissions that's coming out. And this is the area, I believe, of Yellowstone. This would be sulfur dioxide. This would be carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Someone had mentioned that there by Yellowstone, there wasn't any gases showing, but here you can see we got sulfur dioxide. Let me make this smaller, and I'll get rid of that. And there you can see sulfur dioxide. But you know, there is sulfur dioxide from factories and everything else across the nation. So they want to upgrade the spectrometry to measure gas emissions. That's one of the new modernizations that they want to do. So no later, and this was passed in March of last year, they had 180 days to submit a 5-year plan, how they were going to enact this. They wanted to know the annual cost for modernization activities and operations for the system, annual milestones, standards, and performance goals, and recommendations for and progress towards establishing new or enhancing existing partnerships to leverage resources. According to this article on eos.org, the USGS has identified 161 geologically active volcanoes in 12 U.S. states, as well as in American Samoa and the Northern Mariana Islands. More than 1/3 of these active volcanoes are classified by the USGS as either being very high or high threat. Many of these volcanoes have monitoring systems that are insufficient to provide reliable warnings of potential eruptions. It says, whereas others, the monitoring equipment is obsolete. In 2005, the USGS assessment identified 58 volcanoes nationwide as being under-monitored. Of the 18 volcanoes identified in the USGS report as very high threat, Kilauea is one of only 3 classified as well monitored. The other 2 are Mount St. Helens in Washington and the Long Valley Caldera in California. Notice they do not mention Yellowstone. They don't mention the one in Arizona. They don't mention Mount Rainier, etc. Yeah, there's a lot of volcanoes that are very definitely under-monitored. You know, some of these sites, when winter comes, the snow covers up the solar panels, so they don't work. An example, here at Yellowstone, they have to go out and uncover the snow. A lot of the monitors go down, don't work. You know, I showed you that on the thumbnails yesterday. Here it looks like they're working, but this one here is Yellowstone Lake, and this is what it's currently showing. You can see up here, earlier there was a lot more activity. And like I said, Yellowstone Lake, that's the area of spreading. They got a crack at the bottom of the lake. The other one, they have it classified as a canyon. That's up by one of the resurgent domes. Notice it is not working. This here is the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome. And the one you can see on the live webcam, that is the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome. Now, if you change the settings, you can find the Norris Junction borehole. And this one's what? Grant borehole. You got to change the settings to find it. You can see here at Grant, and I've talked about Grant. Grant was an area where they had earthquake swarms, where I felt that the magma had found an area that was trying to come up. The ground was a little bit weaker. You can see several earthquakes here at Grant. And then here at Norris Junction, yeah, see them all in red. Let me pull this down. We've got quite a few in red. Yeah, there's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. Yeah. Red means there's earthquakes today. The monitor picked them up, and the seismologists are supposed to come in and review it. They have Holmes Hill listed close to the area where that earthquake swarm has been going on. Notice we got a large earthquake here, another one in red, and we got harmonic tremors going on. The other monitor, Maple Creek, is actually closer to where these earthquake swarm has been occurring. There's that large one again. We got a smaller one there. A series of them here, blobs of magma. Yeah, that's the actual term of magma that's coming into the system. And another one in red, another blob of magma, and more earthquakes. They are listing 20 earthquakes so far today. This area actually is Chalice, Idaho, along the Snake River Plateau down here. Magna, Utah, that one don't count. Augusta, Montana, had a 2.3. So we got 2 that are considered down here in Utah. Let me pull it up so you can see. A 1.2 there in Yellowstone, that same area where these earthquakes have been occurring. Stanley, Idaho, a 2.2. Another earthquake there, Stanley, Idaho. You might as well just say Chalice, Idaho. A 2.1, same area, 2.4. Another one for Yellowstone, a 1.4. Let me show you that location. Let me see if it'll work. No, when I zoom in too far, it takes out the river. Okay, Madison River. See that? 4.8 kilometers in depth. So that would be 2.98 miles, which would be the upper magma chamber, upper portion of the magma chamber, the roof of the magma chamber. Again, Chalice, Idaho. They say Stanley, Idaho, a 3.0. Another one, 2.5. A 3.6. A 2.8. Yeah, something is definitely going on over here. When Yellowstone erupted, or had its eruption, major eruption, 35-some thousand years ago, there was dike intrusions up along through here of the Snake River Plateau. And those of you that have followed me for a while will remember how I talked about these dike intrusions. You'll remember how I talked about how the magma was now moving horizontally. And I talked about the fracture zones going north and south throughout this area. I'll try and bring that in a little bit more so you can see that. See, this is Chalice, Idaho, which they're calling Stanley, Idaho, and there's Yellowstone. It looks like what? How many? Let me zoom in a little bit more. Looks like 4. Heben Lake, a 0.1, a 1.1 for that same area where the swarm's been going on, a 1.4 and a 1.2. They're not really getting a lot of money. Authorization of appropriations. There is authorized to be appropriated to carry out this section. 500. They're not really getting all that much money to cover so many volcanoes and the upgrades and ones that are not even monitored. It says they're getting $55 million. And that would cover a period from 2019 to 2023. And this money is not to be used for other programs that they already have authorized money for. You know, such as the cabins and roads and, you know, different things in the park. So anyways, that's what I have for you right now. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, put it down below. As always, I'll give you links to these documents so you can look it over yourself. Thank you for your support. I'm on Patreon. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you all. Bye.